guys, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video I would like to read an article entitled Framework Agreement on Integrated Cross-Border Maritime Law Enforcement Operations between the Government of Canada and the Government of the United States of America. Preamble. The Government of Canada and the Government of the United States of America, considering that it is in the common interest of both countries to enhance their border cooperation, recognizing the principle of sovereignty of states, recognizing the importance of respecting fundamental rights and freedoms, notably privacy, committed to the prevention, detection, suppression, investigation, and prosecution of any criminal offense or violations of law related to border enforcement, including but not limited to the illicit drug trade, migrant smuggling, trafficking of firearms, the smuggling of counterfeit goods and money, and terrorism. Desiring integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation to be intelligence-driven based on joint Canada-United States threat and risk assessment and coordinated with existing cooperative cross-border policing programs and activities. Recalling their continuing cooperation and record of successful partnership in pursuing seamless law enforcement operations at their shared border and cognizant of the reciprocal nature of this agreement, have agreed as follows. Article 1. Purpose of the agreement. The purpose of this agreement is to provide the parties additional means in shared waterways to prevent, detect, suppress, investigate, and prosecute criminal offenses or violations of law, including but not limited to illicit drug trade, migrant smuggling, trafficking of firearms, the smuggling of counterfeit goods and money, and terrorism. Article 2. Definition. Designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officer means an individual designate or appointment pursuant to Article 6. Host country means the party in whose territory an activity in the context of integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation is taking place. Integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation means the deployment of a vessel crew jointly by designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers from Canada and the United States for law enforcement or related purposes in shared waterways. Participating agency means an agency directly participating in integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operations. Shared waterways means undisputed area of the sea or international waters along the international boundary between Canada and the United States. Article 3. Scope of integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation. Integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation shall only take place in shared waterways except as otherwise provided by this article. Designate cross-border maritime law enforcement officer shall only enforce the domestic laws of the host country within which they find themselves as directed by a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers of the host country. In urgent and exceptional circumstances, designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers may continue activities undertaken in the course of an integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operations on land adjacent to shared waterways. For the purpose of this article, Urgent and exceptional circumstances include circumstances in which a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officer has reasonable ground to suspect that the continuations of the activities undertaken in the course of integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operation on land adjacent to shared waterways is necessary to prevent imminent bodily harm or death to any person, the immediate and unlawful flight of persons liable to detentions or arrests, or the imminent loss of imminent destructions of the evidence. In all instances where designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers continue activities on land adjacent to shared waterways, they shall notify the appropriate host country law enforcement authorities as soon as operationally practicable. Article 4. Directions of Integrated Cross-Border Maritime Law Enforcement Operations. Integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operations shall only be carried out as directed by a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers of the host country. Article 5. Central Authorities. The parties designate the following central authorities to coordinate the implementation of this agreement. The Government of Canada designate the Commissioners of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police or his or her designate as its central authority. The Government of the United States designates the Commandant of the United States Coast Guard or his or her designate as its central authority. A party may change the designated central authority upon written notification thereof of the other party. Article 6. Designation. The central authority for the United States may appoint or arrange for the appointment of an individual as a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officer who is a member of Royal Canadian Mounted Police or police officers appointed or employed under the law of a province of Canada and who has been recommended for appointment by the Central Authority for Canada and satisfactorily completed all the required training for appointment as a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers in accordance with Article 7. The Central Authority for the United States may appoint and arrange for the appointment of an individual as a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers who is pilot, co-pilot, observers, or the other member of the crew of an aircraft operated by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police or a police service established under the law of a province of Canada, providing aerial support to an integrated cross-border maritime law enforcement operations who has been recommended for appointment by the Central Authority for Canada and satisfactorily completed all the required training for appointment as a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officer in accordance with Article 7. The Central Authority for Canada may appoint an individual as a designated cross-border maritime law enforcement officers who is a commissioned, warrant or petty officers of the United States Coast Guard or a police officers or the other law enforcement officers appointed or employed under the law of the United States of America or vested under the United States of America. So the time is up and the video will be continued to and the article will be continued to read on the next video. So bye bye, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.